So now we know what the real problem is for the Lakers. It's not just that Oklahoma City. It's that the Thunder can play a game where their best player gets thrown off rhythm, sits with foul trouble, and barely has to carry the emotional weight of the night. And the Lakers still can't.
That's terrible!
Because this 125-107 loss in Game 2 is going to look, on the surface, like a pretty normal playoff defeat. Road team loses to the defending champs, series goes 2-0, Shai gets his numbers, crowd gets loud, better team takes care of business. End of story. But that's not really what happened here. What actually happened is a lot more revealing than the final score. The Lakers got closer to the kind of game they needed, and Oklahoma City still made that feel flimsy.
That's the part that. Because the Lakers weren't awful. Not for most of the night. In fact, this was clearly a more functional version of them than we saw in Game 1. Austin Reeves bounced back hard with 31. LeBron gave him 23 and 6 assists. Rui Hachimura had 16. They went into halftime up 58-57. And midway through the third, they had pushed the lead to 69-64. That is not the profile of a team getting immediately blown off the floor. That is a team actually finding a usable script. Slow the game down just enough, hit enough shots, let LeBron organize things, let Reeves carry some scoring, make OKC play a tighter, more half-court game, survive, maybe steal one.
And because the moment Shai Gilgeous-Alexander picked up his fourth foul, this should have become the Lakers' window. This should have been the moment where the underdog lands a clean shot. Best player on the bench, crowd gets a little uneasy, you settle down, win those non-Shai minutes, and suddenly the whole series feels different. Instead, the exact opposite happened. OKC ripped the game open anyway. Reuters had it as a 25-7 run. Other game recaps framed it similarly, as a brutal third-quarter avalanche. Either way, the point is the same. Shai sits, Lakers have the lead. And that's when the Thunder actually put their hands around the game. Not just survived it, took it. That's not normal depth. That's championship depth. And I think that's the single most important thing the Lakers learned in this game. You are not playing a team that needs its stars to rescue every bad stretch. You're playing a team with a real system. That sounds obvious, but there's a difference between a deep team and a team whose identity survives every substitution pattern. Oklahoma City's bench didn't come in looking like a backup unit trying to hold the rope. It came in playing the same exact game. Same defensive pressure, same pace, same trust, same shot confidence. AJ Mitchell gives him 20, Jared McCain gives him 18, Wallace makes plays, Hartenstein keeps the offense connected, Chet keeps doing the star big stuff on both ends. And suddenly, the Lakers are watching a version of OKC that doesn't even require Shai to dominate the night. That is where this matchup starts to feel unfair. Because the Lakers are trying to solve Oklahoma City with precision, and Oklahoma City is solving them with volume. Not just shot volume, functional volume. More playable guys, more defensive bodies, more ball pressure, more lineups that still make sense. More players who can attack an opening without having to stop the whole offense first. And the Lakers just do not have that margin. Especially without Luka Doncic. Now, obviously, Luka being out matters. That part is not complicated. He still isn't expected back yet with the hamstring strain, and the Lakers do not have a replacement for his offensive control, his shot creation, or the way he bends help defense before the ball even moves. But the harder truth is that Luka's absence is not the only thing being exposed here. Oklahoma City is also exposing the basic physical limitations of this Lakers roster. Their foot speed, their ability to absorb repeated dribble pressure, their ability to contain the ball without overhelping, their ability to survive long stretches where the game gets fast mentally, even if it doesn't always look fast on the scoreboard. That's why the turnovers matter more than the box score. Yes, 21 turnovers is a big number. Yes, 26 Thunder points off those turnovers is brutal. But what really makes that number ugly is when it happened and what it did to the game. There were possessions where the Lakers had fought their way back into decent shape, where the crowd quieted down a little, where the game looked manageable. And then one lazy pass, one rushed read, one loose handle, one extra beat of hesitation, and Oklahoma City turned that into a run before the Lakers could even reset themselves emotionally.
That is the thing about OKC. They don't just punish mistakes, they weaponize your frustration. You turn the ball over against some teams and you give up 2 points. You turn it over against the Thunder and you give away momentum, composure, and often the next few possessions too. That's why the Lakers' errors in this series have felt so loud. Not because every turnover is individually catastrophic, but because Oklahoma City stacks them into emotional runs faster than almost anyone left in the playoffs.
And the Lakers are still not clean enough to stop feeding that machine. That's what makes this game so frustrating from LA's perspective, because there actually were encouraging parts here.
Reeves looked like himself again. That matters. He got into the paint. He played with real confidence. LeBron was more assertive. Rui was useful. The offense, for stretches, made much more sense than it did in Game 1. This was not one of those games where you come away thinking nothing worked. Some things worked. The problem is that against Oklahoma City, some things worked is not a serious foundation unless you also protect the ball and sustain the pressure.
And the Lakers didn't do that. So this becomes a really uncomfortable kind of loss. The kind where you can honestly say you were better and still walk away feeling farther off than ever. Because the game wasn't decided by some impossible shot-making display from Shai. He had 22. Chet had 22. Good numbers, strong game, sure. But Shai also played only 28 minutes because of foul trouble. Jalen Williams didn't even play. And OKC still won by 18. That's the bigger message. The Thunder didn't need their cleanest superstar script to beat the Lakers. They just needed the Lakers to make enough mistakes. And they knew they eventually would. And honestly, that's what a real title favorite looks like. Not just a team with the best player, not just a team with the best defense, a team that can win from multiple entry points, a team that doesn't panic when foul trouble changes the rotation, a team whose bench understands its job, a team that doesn't lose its identity because one piece disappears for 8 minutes. Oklahoma City is starting to look less like a team playing well and more like a team that knows exactly what winning is supposed to feel like. Which brings us back to the Lakers. What exactly is the path here? Because play better is too vague now. Get one at home is too vague. Hope Luka comes back is too passive. The Lakers need something more specific than optimism. They need the game to become simpler. They need fewer live ball mistakes. They need fewer wasted emotional possessions. They need to stop leaking so much energy into the officiating battle and the reaction battle and the frustration battle. They need every possession to feel a little more boring, honestly. That's how you beat a team like this. You make the game less chaotic. You make Oklahoma City work in the half court. You keep the floor balanced. You don't gift them your bad decisions. You don't let one mistake become 3 mistakes. Because right now, every time the game gets messy, it becomes their game, not yours. And that's why this series feels heavier than a normal 0-2. Usually when a road team goes down 0-2, you can still talk yourself into the old script. Go home, win game 3, crowd wakes up, pressure shifts, now we've got a series. And sure, that is still technically available here. Reeves finding his rhythm matters. LeBron is still LeBron. Crypto is still crypto. The Lakers absolutely can win Game 3. But they don't just need a better version of themselves. They need a cleaner one. Because Oklahoma City has already shown you something dangerous in these first two games. They can beat you when Shai has a weird night, and they can beat you when Shai barely gets to run the game for a whole stretch. They can beat you with their stars. They can beat you with their bench. They can beat you by overwhelming you, and they can beat you by waiting for you to get sloppy.
That's not just talent.
That's structure. And structure is exactly what the Lakers are struggling to match right now.
So yes, Game 3 matters a lot. But not because it's some dramatic must-win cliche. It matters because it will tell us whether the Lakers can actually force this series onto their terms for once. Whether they can cut out the self-inflicted errors. Whether they can make OKC play more possessions than it wants to. Whether they can survive the non-LeBron minutes, for pressure minutes, the whistle swing minutes, the moments where a 5-point game can become a 14-point game if you blink. Because that's what this series is now.
Not a talent test, a discipline test. And through 2 games, Oklahoma City hasn't just passed it. They've looked like the team that wrote it.